Hey potatoes, Thor the Dark World is in the books and now we're coming back to Earth. But this time things are about to get seriously complicated. Steve Rogers is working for S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury is running the show, and Black Widow is on his team. Everything looks fine.
Until, out of nowhere, Fury gets attacked. And the guy coming after him, a mysterious assassin with a metal arm. Someone who, weirdly enough, knows exactly how to go toe-to-toe with Captain America. And then, Steve discovers something that just shatters his reality. His best friend, Bucky Barnes, is still alive. Only now, he's not Bucky anymore. He's the Winter Soldier. So let's just jump right in and break down Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
So, the story kicks off with Steve doing, well, what he does best, running laps around regular people. And this is exactly where we meet Sam Wilson, a former Air Force pararescue man and a fellow veteran. Steve connects with him almost instantly, right? You can literally see this rock-solid friendship forming right out of the gate. Because honestly, Steve is still kind of struggling to adjust to this modern world. I mean, he's keeping this list, which is hilarious but also kind of sad, of all the pop culture he missed while taking a 70-year nap in the ice. You see, Steve might have saved the world, but he really hasn't figured out his place in it yet. The world he knew is just gone. And that hits home in this incredibly quiet, heartbreaking scene where he goes to visit an elderly Peggy Carter. She's aged, and while Steve hasn't aged a day and remembers everything like it was yesterday, it's just painfully obvious how much time has slipped by for her. It's honestly one of those brilliant defining character moments that tells us so much more about who Steve is than any massive explosion or action scene ever could.
But, you know, duty calls. S.H.I.E.L.D. sends Steve and Natasha on a mission to rescue hostages from a hijacked pirate ship. And wow, Steve just clears that ship with ruthless efficiency. He is definitely not that inexperienced kid from World War II anymore. He has completely mastered that shield. But right in the middle of it, he figures out that Natasha's running a totally different, secret objective. She's collecting data. She casually reminds him that S.H.I.E.L.D. operates in these deep layers of secrecy. And Steve, he absolutely hates it. That fundamental clash of ideals right there, that sets the stage for everything that's about to go down.
Back at headquarters, Nick Fury shows Steve what he calls the future of global security. It's called Project Insight. We're talking 3 massive helicarriers synced up to a global intelligence network. Their goal? To predict and automatically eliminate threats before they ever even happen. Now, Fury looks at this and sees ultimate protection. But Steve looks at it and sees a massive, terrifying problem. He completely despises the idea of stripping away people's freedom just because some algorithm predicted they might do something bad. It really just highlights how wildly different this modern world is from the one he left behind.
But here's the kicker. Even Fury starts to get suspicious when he gets locked out of his own Project Insight files. Like, his own project. Then, while he's driving through downtown Washington, he gets ambushed by this highly coordinated hit squad, and that's when he steps out. The Winter Soldier. He's masked, completely silent, and just absolutely terrifying. Fury barely manages to escape with his life, realizing pretty quickly that this guy isn't just a regular thug. He moves like an elite assassin, and yeah, that metal arm is going to be a serious, serious problem.
A wounded Fury goes straight to Steve's apartment and gives him a chilling warning: trust no one. Moments later, Fury is shot, slipping Steve a mysterious flash drive right before he seemingly dies. Now, when high-ranking S.H.I.E.L.D. boss Alexander Pierce demands that drive, Steve flat out refuses. And just like that, Captain America becomes public enemy number 1. He escapes, teams up with Natasha, and suddenly they are fugitives running from their own organization. I mean, this is exactly where the narrative shifts into high gear.
Following the breadcrumbs on that drive leads them to an old, hidden S.H.I.E.L.D. bunker and an absolutely insane discovery: HYDRA. Yep, the same HYDRA Steve fought back in the 40s. He thought he wiped them out, but it turns out HYDRA never actually disappeared. They just went underground. They infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. like a parasite, spending decades secretly hoarding power and manipulating global events right from the inside. In the blink of an eye, Steve's entire concept of working for the good guys is just completely shattered.
And suddenly, the whole Project Insight thing makes horrifying sense. It was never a S.H.I.E.L.D. project to begin with. It's HYDRA's master plan. Those 3 heavily armed helicarriers, they're programmed to instantly wipe out millions of innocent people. Anyone HYDRA's twisted algorithm flags as a potential threat to their rule. Steve realizes right then and there that this was never about global security. It's about absolute, terrifying control. And there is zero chance he's going to stand by and let that happen. So now they are massively outnumbered, outgunned, and on the run.
They need backup, and fast. Luckily, Steve's new running buddy, Sam Wilson, happens to have a pretty incredible secret tucked away. He's the Falcon. He's got this experimental military flight suit, and let me tell you, once Sam straps on those wings, our little trio actually stands a real fighting chance.
But HYDRA is relentless, and they send the Winter Soldier after them again. It leads to this brutal street fight, and as Steve is throwing down with him, something starts to feel terrifyingly familiar. It's the way the guy moves, the way he just catches the shield like it's nothing. Then, in the middle of all the chaos, the mask gets ripped off, and everything just stops. It's Bucky Barnes. Steve's best friend, the guy who supposedly fell to his death all those years ago in World War II.
Steve literally watched Bucky fall from that icy train decades ago. But Bucky actually survived the fall. HYDRA found him in the snow, dragged him back, and experimenting on him. They grafted on that metal arm and just repeatedly wiped his mind, brainwashing him into the perfect, ruthless weapon. The thing is, Bucky never chose to be this monster, and that just breaks Steve's heart. While everyone else looks at this guy and sees the deadliest assassin on the planet, Steve, he just looks at him and sees his oldest friend, and he absolutely refuses to give up on him.
Meanwhile, surprise, a very much alive Nick Fury pops out of the shadows to help them put together a desperate plan. They realize they can't just quietly pull the plug on Project Insight, they need to drag HYDRA out into the light and expose them to the entire world. So, in just the most perfectly Steve Rogers move ever, Captain America commandeers the S.H.I.E.L.D. PA system and broadcasts the truth to the entire facility. He basically forces every single agent to make a choice right then and there. Are you HYDRA or are you S.H.I.E.L.D.? And man, total chaos erupts as the organization violently tears itself apart from the inside out. It's a race against the clock now. The helicarriers are launching and millions of lives are instantly targeted. The team splits up and goes all out. You've got Falcon dominating the skies, dodging missiles left and right. You've got Natasha infiltrating the control room, literally dumping all of HYDRA's darkest classified secrets straight onto the internet. And Steve, he's making a mad dash for the server blades to swap the targeting chips. But waiting for him at the finish line is the Winter Soldier. They go at it again, but this time Steve knows exactly who he's fighting, even if Bucky doesn't remember a thing.
As the targeting chips are finally swapped and the helicarriers start blasting each other out of the sky, the whole system collapses. And right here, Steve makes this incredibly profound choice. With the ship literally falling apart around them, he drops his shield. He is totally done fighting. He chooses to take the hits and face death rather than kill his best friend. And as Steve falls into the river below, something inside the Winter Soldier's broken programming finally cracks. Bucky remembers just enough to pull Steve from the wreckage, saving his life before disappearing into the woods.
So, the dust settles. The helicarriers are scrap metal, HYDRA is exposed, and S.H.I.E.L.D. as we know it is completely finished. But when Steve finally wakes up in a hospital bed, he's not worried about any of that. His singular focus is tracking down Bucky. For the first time since he woke up in the ice, he has a deeply personal mission. The fallout is massive, though. Natasha is hauling herself in front of a congressional committee, Fury completely burns his identity to go hunt HYDRA in the shadows, and Steve and Sam, they pack up and gear up for a manhunt.
Alright, before we completely wrap up, we've got to talk about that first post-credit scene, because it sets up some gigantic stakes. Deep inside a hidden HYDRA bunker, we see a guy named Baron von Strucker. And what is he holding? Loki's Mind Stone scepter from the first Avengers movie. He's using it to run twisted experiments on these two twins, Pietro and Wanda Maximoff. We get this quick, tantalizing glimpse of super speed and some really chaotic red energy. Marvel was quietly laying all the puzzle pieces down for Avengers Age of Ultron.
And then, in the second post-credit scene, we get this really quiet, powerful moment. We see Bucky, in regular civilian clothes, walking through the Captain America exhibit at the museum. He stops and just stares at his own face on the memorial wall. You can see the gears turning. Something is finally clicking for him. Bucky Barnes is absolutely still in there, and it perfectly sets up what's going to be an epic redemption arc.
When you step back and look at the big picture here, this isn't just your standard superhero sequel. This movie fundamentally shattered the entire status quo of the MCU. S.H.I.E.L.D. is rubble, HYDRA's out in the open, Fury is a ghost, Natasha's darkest secrets are front-page news. Plus, we've got major new players like Falcon and the Maximoff twins officially on the board. But maybe most importantly, Steve Rogers himself evolved. He's done trying to be the perfect soldier for a corrupt system. He's found his own moral compass again, and he proved he's willing to burn the whole thing down to save his friend.
Because underneath all the insane elevator fights and those gritty highway shootouts, this is really a story about trust. Steve, Fury, Natasha, and even Bucky, they are all desperately grappling with the question,
who can I actually rely on? And it gives us a villain in Alexander Pierce who is just terrifyingly realistic. He isn't some alien warlord trying to blow up the planet. He's just a guy who genuinely believes that absolute surveillance and putting a gun to the world's head is the only way to achieve peace. And that makes him incredibly dangerous.
So when it comes time for the Big Potato Stuff rating, I am giving Captain America the Winter Soldier a very easy, very well-deserved 4.5 out of 5 potatoes.
The story is tight, the hand-to-hand combat is just next level, and the emotional punch of the Winter Soldier hits so hard every time. Phase 2 of the MCU is officially getting serious. Think about it, Tony Stark faced his trauma, Thor accidentally stumbled onto an Infinity Stone, and now Steve Rogers just dismantled the globe's biggest security apparatus just to bring his best friend back from the dead.
But hey, we're not staying on Earth for very long. Next time, we are blasting off deep into outer space. We're gonna meet Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot. Just a chaotic group of criminal strangers who were somehow about to become the Guardians of the Galaxy. Because honestly, if Hydra could hide in plain sight right under our noses for decades, what other massive threats are secretly brewing out there in the darkest corners of the MCU? We'll find out soon enough. Make sure you subscribe to Big Potato Stuff, because the journey to Doomsday continues one movie at a time. I'll see you in the next one, potatoes.